Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome back to another Red Dragon Inn Allies set. Today we're actually going to do two unboxings combined. We have the original single character pack Pooky, which adds the little bunny rabbit. It was from Zot and Pooky on the base set. And then we have the bigger box set, which is Evil Pooky. Usually the bigger box sets like these are the, I guess, medium-sized box sets. Would have two characters in them, but since Evil Pooky's, Evil Pooky, he gets a box all to himself. But the reason why we're doing both sets is because the Evil Pooky box also comes with cards that enhance the original Pooky deck. So I thought I'd just do them both together, so you didn't have to go back and try and find the original one. So we're going to start off with just regular Pooky, and then we'll hop into what Evil Pooky does. So being a small box set, just adds one extra character, can be added to any other set to be played with. So we're going to have the rules that explain, basically how his deck works, with nice examples and all that fun stuff, which we'll just talk about as we go through his deck. We will get our standard gold card, so smaller gold. The smaller boxes usually have a little tinier gold versus the full big sets, like 1 through whatever, have big ones. Plus your fortitude and alcohol counters. We do get one of these. This is the original. This is how they all came. To keep track of your fortitude and alcohol, your turn order, deck, discard, drink me pile. So I'm going to show off the other one if I would have grabbed... Oh, it's right here in front of me. If you bought set number 5, the character trove, you could have gotten one of these. Every set afterwards, including Evil Pooky, have one of these as well. This is an updated board specific for the character. Because it still has your deck, discard, drink me, has your numbers on it, but he also has an extra side in there for if they have an extra ability. Like he has a mood card just telling you where to put it. It kind of just, it's a little bit nicer than this. Overall, just for the feel. It's maybe a little bit more flimsy, but that's fine. It just lays on the table. But this is for Pooky the Vicious. This is only in set number 5. Then the other thing we're going to get in there is we are also going to get, if you got set number 5, is you would get a deck divider. And these are really nice for the storage box. The other thing that's great about these deck dividers is on the back, if they have special rules, it will tell you what they do. So they're nice little reminders. So what this is basically saying is Pooky has a special mood card, which you keep track of with the little clear token that comes with it. So calm, manic, crazy, and psychotic. And it's a double-sided card, so it doesn't matter. And then you get an extra little reference card. So there are cards in the game that are going to make Pooky change his mood. So it says his mood gets worse when you play a card. A card played from another player's hand causes you to lose fortitude. So not a drink or an effect of one of your cards. It has to be someone played from another hand. Even if it's a card, I'm not sure if I'm gonna have it right, but something like one of the gizmos or something like that would basically say some of the cards you play, and they say this would count as if it were played from someone's hand. If a drink causes you to lose 3 or to gain 3 or more alcohol content, you participate in a round of gambling and do not win, or a card says Pooky mood worsens. If it gets all the way to the bottom and you get past psychotic and it drops down again, it just stays down psychotic. It doesn't reset at all unless you have a card that tells it resets. So let's look at Pooky's deck. So here we have Pooky the Vicious. He's a strange thing. Now all the characters usually have the same beginning cards. Pooky is no exception, except all his cards are just named slightly different. So he's going to have his 6 cards of Pooky wants to gamble. So remember, I want to gamble, but Pooky wants to gamble. Start a round of gambling. Each player, including you, must take control of a round of gambling. We have Pooky Raises. We have 2 copies. Take control round of gambling. Each player, including you, must ante again. 2 copies of Pooky's got a winning hand. Take control a round of gambling. The next card to take control must be a cheating card. We have our Tip the Wench. Pick a player. They pay 1 gold to the inn. The wench thinks you should stop playing with the drinks. Negate is sometimes a card that changes the effects of a drink. This includes cards that negate, ignore, split drinks, pass drinks to other players, or alter any other drink effects. This card can only be affected by I don't think so. And then we have his Pooky doesn't think so. Negate a sometimes card. Pooky doesn't think so can only be affected by cards that affect I don't think so. Pooky doesn't think so can affect any card that can be affected by I don't think so. And if Pooky mood is psychotic, this card can't be negated. So basically the middle two lines, it's just the card is essentially treated as an I don't think so card, but because it has a different name, they just put this extra little rules in there so that someone doesn't argue with you. When it gets the extra thing, if he's psychotic, it becomes an unblockable card itself. And then he gets 2 copies of The Wench Owes Pooky a Favor. These are on the house. You may play this card during the order a drink phase of your turn. Order 2 additional drinks for free. Or you may play this card when the drink deck runs out. You don't have to pay. It's just kind of a fun alternate to the normal Wench bring drinks for my friends. Alright, then let's look at his regular cards. He has Pooky won't give up without a fight, a cheating card. Take control of a round of gambling. Pick another player in the round of gambling that player chooses. They leave the round of gambling, or they lose 2 fortitude and Pooky's mood gets worse. Pooky's in a foul mood. We have 2 copies of that. Pick another player, they lose 1 fortitude. If Pooky is psychotic, they lose 2 fortitude instead. Pooky's mood gets worse. Big, nasty, pointy teeth. Pick another player. If you are calm, lose 1 fortitude, 2 fortitude, 3 or 4 depending, going up, and then you are now calm, so it resets you. Oh no, not again. Pooky's on a drunken rampage. Lose 1 alcohol content. If you are maniac, you lose. Each other player loses 1 fortitude. Crazy, they lose 2. Or psychotic, they lose 3, and then you are now calm. Pooky wants to play darts. Pick another player. They lose 1 fortitude, 2 fortitude, or 3, or if they're psychotic, they lose 3, or choose 2 other players. They each lose 2 fortitude. This is kind of funny, he's throwing darts at people, essentially. 2 copies of Pooky Thinks You Are Delicious. Pick another player, they lose 1 fortitude. Gain 1 fortitude if that alcohol content is 10 or greater. You also gain 1 alcohol content. Pooky pulls Zot out of a hat. You impress the others with a magic trick. Each other player pays you 1 gold. Then the sad card. Don't make Pooky cry. Ignore an action, sometimes or anytime card that affects your fortitude or gold. You may not use this to ignore a round of gambling. Good thing Pooky was wearing Gimli's great-grandfather's helmet. I love that this card appears so much throughout the game. Ignore an action, sometimes or anytime card that affects your fortitude. The wench thinks you should stop being mean to Pooky. Ignore an action, sometimes or anytime card that affects your fortitude or alcohol content. Pooky is now calm. Pooky doesn't like feeling cornered. You may play this card if it immediately after you lose fortitude from a card played by another player. Change mood first. You may not play this card if you reduce that fortitude loss. Manic, 2 fortitude, crazy 3, or psychotic 4. Pooky is now calm. Pooky's got Fenric's special stuff. Add 1 alcohol content to a drink. Watch out, don't step on Pooky. Pick another player, they lose 2 fortitude. If Pooky is psychotic, they lose 3 fortitude instead. Pooky thinks you look thirsty. Pick another player, they play the top drink of their drink me pile. Pooky is misbehaving. You may play this card when you must ante. Instead of anteing, you leave the round of gambling, or ignore a drink. In either case, you must pay 1 gold to the inn for the towel to wipe up your accident. 2 copies of Pooky enjoys the company of other animals. Gain 1 fortitude and lose 1 alcohol content. Pooky is now calm. 2 copies of Not Now, Zot Needs Pooky. You may play this card when you must ante. Instead of anteing, you leave the round of gambling or ignore a drink. Here you got some more cheating cards. Pooky's got Zot's Lucky Dice. Take control of a round of gambling. Pooky's Lucky Rabbit Foot. Take control of a round of gambling. Pooky's got Something Caught in His Teeth. You may play this card when you are about to lose gold. Use gold from the ing rather than your own stash. And finally, Pooky's done with this game. You may play this card at any time during a round of gambling, even if you have left the round. You may not play this card if the round is already ended. You may not play this card in response to a card that would make players ante or would end the round when it resolves. The round of gambling immediately ends. All gold goes to the ing for shredding the cards. So that's Pooky's deck. Yeah, his mood card adds some different effects depending on what happens to you. I mean, you got a couple of different things that can happen. There's only a few cards that force you to get worse. Otherwise, basically, if you're taking damage, or you gain alcohol, or you lose gambling, basically bad things happen to you, you're going to get worse, and your cards are going to become more powerful. But there's a lot of cards that make you calm as well. So it's an interesting kind of way to play. I guess it would have been a little bit different if it would have just dropped it down by 1. Every time you played a card, it would have lessened his mood versus just resetting it. Because always resetting it means that you're getting lesser and lesser effects. It's going to be harder to keep it at psychotic to get your maximum amounts. But that's alright. It's still probably definitely a fun deck to play. He also has a lot more individual cards versus duplicate cards, which is kind of fun as well. Alright, so that's all we have for Pooky's deck. The small decks are fairly small. They don't do a lot. They just add an extra character. So if you're looking to play as a fun little bunny rabbit that likes to go crazy, there you go. Now if we want to see an even crazier version, we're going to check out the Evil Pooky deck. So what Evil Pooky is an alternate dimension version of Pooky, who's, of course, evil. What this set also comes with is multiple things. It comes with, Pooky is a villain, so he also gets a boss deck, so you can play him as a boss, which is really fun, and I'll explain that when we get there. It comes with an extra drink deck, so if you buy this, you can play this with any other deck, because now you'll have a 30-card drink deck. So it's one of the few ways to get a drink deck outside of buying one of the big box sets. Additionally, beyond all that, it also has... Oh, and I knocked over my stuff. We get some prize variant cards, which we'll explain at the end. We also get some boss cards, which have little dragons, for Pooky. So we can turn the original Pooky deck into a boss. And that's why I wanted to show this off. Because now, if you buy this by itself, you still get a full character. You get a drink deck, which is cool. But if you also own Pooky, now you actually have 2 sets. You can actually play regular Pooky versus Evil Pooky, because you have that drink deck. So what's Evil Pooky's come with? He comes with, of course, his instructions to explain how to play. He has special doppelgangers, which are really fun. It explains how Epic Pooky works, so we'll look at that when we get there. And then we have the prize variants. So why don't we just look at, well, let's look at the rest of our totals. We got more coins, so we have enough for 2 players. Even though it only comes with 1 character, it gives you enough so if you had another player, and I think it's just because this is the size that goes in that box, and it fits, and that's why they made it. We get our special layout card here, which has this doppelganger deck, doppelganger discard, and our doppelgangers at the top. And then during his draw and discard and draw phases, reduce your hand size if you have 2 or more doppelgangers. So you can have a bunch of them out, they just start to reduce your hand size. And we'll talk about those in a minute. But let's actually, before we jump into Evil Pooky, let's look at what Boss Pooky does, since regular Pooky is still kind of fresh in our mind. Just also going to 15 card deck will have the original Pooky to play as a boss in a boss battle. Check out deck box number 6, the Villains deck, for more on that. So basically, shuffle the 15 cards into Pooky's character deck for a total of 55 cards. Then he also gets 5 epic decks to place near the playmat. Pooky's epic the 5 card side epic cards. These are particularly powerful that can the Pooky can get if his mood gets bad enough. Normally, Pooky's mood gets worse when he's already normally, if Pooky's mood will get worse when he's already psychotic, nothing's happened. However, if you're playing an epic Pooky in a boss battle, you have the choice. You have a choice. If you are psychotic and your mood would get worse, you may either leave your mood at psychotic, or you may move it back to calm and draw from your epic deck. Concentrate your hand size, and all that stuff. He's still a hero even if you're playing as a boss. So it just matters for certain things. So that's kind of neat. You get some extra things. So now if you get over that psychotic, he's going to get these extra effects. So what do bosses do? Bosses get these extra higher powered cards. They have these little dragons on the top to show they're part of the boss deck. But they get basically stronger cards, more cards. And what it allows you to do is play boss mode in various ways. You can either play one boss against a team of 2, 3, or 4 players. So you get extra cards because they're playing against multiple players. Or you could play a boss versus a boss, like you could do here, regular Pooky versus Evil Pooky. Or you could play, I keep forgetting the name of it, it's like Lackeys. But basically you can play a team game where one player plays as a boss, and the second player on our team plays as a regular character. So you can always play like regular Pooky, and you can always play like Epic Pooky, or boss regular Pooky with Zot as your like kind of small guy against Evil Pooky and someone else. That'd be kind of funny. So yeah, check out Red Dragon Ink Box 6 Villains. I go more into depth on the villains, how to play all that, and all the little more nuances. The other thing that's fun about the boss decks is it kind of gives like an ultimate version of the character. So as we can see, like here he's just regular napping, but if we look at one of his other characters, he's glowing green. He's all like extra furry and spiky, so it just gives him kind of like a powered up mode, which is really fun. Alright, so we are going to look at his boss cards, and then we'll look at that epic deck. So he has Pooky's Power Nap. Anytime. Draw 3 cards from your character deck. He has another copy of Don't Make Pooky Cry. Pooky Won't Give Up Without a Fight. And Pooky Doesn't Think So. So those are kind of extra ones he has. Then he gets the Zen of Pooky. Keep this card in front of you till the end of your turn. You can't lose Fortitude this turn. Pick another player, they lose 3 Fortitude. If they lose Fortitude in this way, Pooky becomes calm. Much like all of the villains who have the first rule of villainy, Pooky has the first rule of Pooky. Don't mess with Pooky. Each other player discards sometimes cards from their hand unless they reveal a hand with no sometimes cards. Each other player loses 1 Fortitude. This can't be negated or ignored. 2 copies of Pooky's on a Sober Rage. Pick another player. They lose 2 Fortitude. Draw a card from your character deck. If you play this card during your action phase, choose one. You may play another action card this phase, or discard the top card of your Drink Me deck. 2 copies of Fluffy Murder Ball. You may play this card immediately after you use Fortitude. From a card played by another player, you may not play this card if you reduce your Fortitude loss. Play 2 Fortitude, your mood gets worse. This is kind of fun. These are make more cards or let him get worse. Pooky's ready to rumble. There he's fighting Evil Pooky. Ignore an action. Sometimes or anytime's card that affects your Fortitude. The player who played that card loses 1 Fortitude. Your mood gets worse. Pooky makes his own luck. Take control around the gambling. Draw 3 cards from your character deck. 2 copies of Pooky's in a Horrible Mood. Pick another player. They lose 2 Fortitude. Pooky's mood gets worse. And finally, Pooky's being generous with the drinks. Add X alcohol content to a drink, where X is the number of challengers, or add 2 alcohol content to a drink. So those are his boss cards that you can add in there. Then he has his epic deck, which epic deck has a different back. And it's just probably just to keep track of it very quickly. So we're going to have Bunny Barrage. Pick another player, they lose 4 fortitude. Cards that would ignore this fortitude loss or reduce it to 0 instead reduce it to 1. Pooky's mood gets worse. So after you draw one of these, he becomes calm, and this will immediately start him right back up. Pooky's ready for anything. Look at the top 5 cards of your character deck, put 2 of them in your hand, the rest in your discard pile. I honestly don't think I can't think of any other character that had an ability to let you look at the cards in your deck and then put and choose which ones you want. There might be one other character that has the ability to look at it and decide to discard it, but not actually choose multiple cards. That's actually pretty cool. Fun-sized rejuvenation potion. Gain 4 fortitude, or lose 4 alcohol content, or gain 2 gold from the inn. Pooky still doesn't think so. Negate a sometimes, anytime, or event card, or ignore a drink or event. In either case, this card can't be negated, and it doesn't count as though it were named I don't think so. And it counts as though it named I don't think so, so that's kind of fun. And then his last one is Pooky thinks you look really thirsty. Add 2 alcohol content to a drink you are about to drink, then give that drink to another player. So that's fun. I love these pouring the elven, I think it's the elven wine into it. Or just maybe it's a regular wine. Alright, so that was his epic deck that you can play. So if you own Pooky, you can add that. If you don't own Pooky, it's just going to kind of be an extra set of cards sitting around. Alright, then we are going to look at Evil Pooky. Alright, so Evil Pooky has a bunch of things. So first he has his regular deck. He's a uninvited nuisance. He's going to have his boss deck, which will have his little dragons on the top. He also has, for his regular deck, though, he has a special doppelganger deck, which is really fun. So these are not evil, flipped versions of 15 of the different characters from the game. I really love this deck. I wish they'd actually do this for all the characters. I love just see what they come up with. But you also get a special version of that for the boss. If you play the boss one, he gets a different version, which actually is boss battle, and the pictures are reversed, and he's a little bit more psychotic on there. And that's kind of cool, too, because usually the game, you just get your extra boss cards. This, they give you different set of doppelgangers. It's the same characters, but they have slightly different abilities. So many of the cards in Evil Pooky deck will have portal icons. If you play one, after all the effects are resolved, reveal a top card of the doppelganger deck. And it has 2 varieties, either immediate, follow the instructions, and then discard it, or it has a split, which gives you 2 different options to do. So there's no limit to the number of doppelgangers he can have, even if Pooky has more than 1 doppelganger. If he ever has more than 1, his hand size is reduced for each one beyond the first. So you can have as many as you want, but you'll keep reducing his hand size the more he kind of has to keep track of or keep in the game. Alright, so let's look at his regular cards. Much like Pooky, he has a bunch of Pooky cards. So he has 6 copies of Evil Pooky Wants to Gamble. And then he has just a regular raised card with the villain's picture. He has Winning Hand, Tip the Wench. So he gets a lot of more regular cards, not just Pooky, which is kind of nice. Wench, bring some of these drinks for my friends. You may play this drink during your order a drink phase of your turn. Pay 1 gold to the inn, order 2 additional drinks. The wench thinks you should stop playing with drinks. And then he has We Don't Think So. Negate a sometimes card. We don't think so. Can only be affected by cards affected by I don't think so, and we don't think so can affect any card affected by I don't think so. Just as very same idea as the Pooky doesn't think so card, just he doesn't have that extra ability on there. So those are kind of like your regular cards. Then we have some fun ones. We have Transdimensional Troublemakers, and you're going to just see some of these doppelgangers on here. Lose 1 alcohol content. Each other player loses 1 fortitude. If you have 2 or more doppelgangers in front of you, each other player loses 2 fortitude instead. This little rodent is tougher than he looks. Ignore an action or a sometimes or anytime card that affects your fortitude, and this is one of them portal cards. We have Doppel Up. He's just like, hey, just play a portal card. I like how some of these also mirror Pooky's cards. So we have Watch Your Step. There's like Watch Your Step. Don't step on Pooky. He has a knife. This one he's just about to bite you. Pick another player. They lose 1 fortitude. If you have a doppelganger in front of you, they lose 2 fortitude instead. Inhumanly sourced cuisine. Or inhumanely sourced cuisine. Pick another player. They lose 1 fortitude. Gain 1 fortitude. If that player's alcohol content is 10 or greater, you also gain 1 alcohol content. Where did all the cards go? You may play this card when you must ante. Instead of anteing, you leave the round. This drinks for you. Oh, it's a portal. Split a drink you are about to drink with another player. You each take half the drink effects rounded up. 2 copies of Dress for Success. Reduce the alcohol content of the drink by 1, or you may play this card when action. Sometimes or anytime card would make you lose fortitude, reduce that fortitude by 1. 2 copies of Tiny Furious Ambush. Pick another player, they lose 2 fortitude. Here's playing with the Omnisite goggles. Hey, why are those glasses glowing? Take control of a round of gambling. Now, where did that horrible thing go? You may play this card when you must ante. Instead of anteing, you leave the round of gambling or ignore a drink. Sploosh. You may play this card during another player's drink phase. That player drinks an additional drink from their drink me pile. 2 copies of Absolutely No Table Manners. Ignore a drink. 2 copies of Nastier, Bigger, Pointier Teeth. Because it has nasty, big, pointy teeth in the original deck. Pick another player, they lose 1 fortitude, plus 1 fortitude for each doppelganger in front of you. 2 copies of Pay It By Ear. You may play this card when you are about to lose gold. Use gold from the inn rather than your own stash. Evil Bunny Cook God's Money. Pick a player, they pay you 1 gold. 2 copies of That Bunny's No Good, but I'll Drink That. Adding alcohol content to a drink. I suggest a new strategy. Let the bunny win. You may play this card when another player wins a round of gambling that you haven't left. The round continues with only you and that player each ante. You are currently winning. And then finally we have, looks like we're getting extra dimensional drinks. You may play this card during your order a drink phase. Order 2 additional drinks for free. So lots of these portal cards and stuff with doppelgangers. A lot of fortitude loss. Not a lot of stuff that reduces his things though. Then we're going to look at the doppelgangers, which I think is one of the best parts of this deck. So first off, we have Torgo Snoff the Wise, first among the righteous. So he's a villain. Instead, he becomes good. This is one of them split cards. So either A, you can play this as a sometimes card from your hand. Negate a cheating card. The player who played the card may not play another gambling card. Negate a cheating card. The player who played it may play another gambling card, but not another cheating card. Or you can make it an instant. So when you get this card, pay 1 gold to the end. So it's whichever direction needs to work. Then we have Darika, the Mind Expander, so another villain turned positive, so the Mind Breaker. Discard 2 cards from your hand and then draw a card from your character deck. So this is an instant. You notice by the instant mark. Then we have some of the heroes. We have Pain Master Fenric. So instead of being an alchemist, he's a Pain Master. Sometimes reduce the alcohol content of a drink by 1. Or, the next time you play an action, sometimes or anytime card that would make a player lose Fortitude, you also lose 1 Fortitude. Whistle the Corrupted. Sometimes you may play this card when you must ante. Instead of anteing, you leave the round of gambling. Or, the next time you ignore a drink, lose 1 Fortitude. Gog the Enforcer. Sometimes you may play this card when you're about to lose Fortitude, reduce the Fortitude lost by 1. And then when you get this card, pick a player other than Evil Pooky. That player loses 1 Fortitude. If you're the only legal choice, you must choose yourself. Evil. Sometimes you may play this drink after a player reveals a drink with possible chases. Instead of its usual effect, the drink has the effect of lose 2 Fortitude. Any non-drink cards change the drink effect still affecting normally. Or, next time you reveal a drink, add the effect lose 1 Fortitude to that drink. Then we have Zot the Lich King, which is really funny because he's has like the crown and some of the cloaks and the skull of the original Lich King. So you kind of beat him and took over. Pick another player, they lose 2 Fortitude, or when you get this card, gain 1 alcohol content. Constable Juriki the Crooked. Cheating. Take control round of gambling, pick another player and force them to leave the round of gambling. Or at the beginning of your next action phase, discard a random card from your hand. Deirdre, the Drinker of Blood. Anytime, draw 2 cards from the character deck, or your hand size is decreased by 2. Discard this card at the beginning of your next action phase. Fiona the Unstable. Each player, including you, loses 1 Fortitude. The Dread Pirate Whitehawk, instead of being a nice captain, she became a pirate. Each other player loses 1 Fortitude. Negagonus. Instead of being like a regular bard, he becomes a rocker, which is really fun. Sometimes ignore an action, sometimes or anytime card that affects your Fortitude. When you get this card, lose 1 Fortitude. Jordan the Swindler. Return any gambling or cheating card from your discard pile to your hand. Next time you ante, discard a card from your hand. Muragrath the Good. So this is if he wasn't evil and he was good and you still picked up the blessed sword. Discard a doppelganger from in front of you if you have one. No player may play cards or effects until after you do this. And then finally we have Bad Bring. Sometimes you may play this card immediately after you lose Fortitude from a card played by another player. You may not play this card if you reduce that Fortitude loss. That player loses 1 Fortitude. Or, the next time a player other than Evil Pooky would lose Fortitude from a card played from your hand, that Fortitude loss is increased by 1. Alright, so that's actually really fun. I love the different designs. And just to reiterate on those split cards is, you choose to keep it for yourself, you get to do the Pooky side. Otherwise, you can give it to another player, they put it in front of them. The right ability is going active and it affects that player. So they have to choose different things to do with that. No, I really love the doppelganger concept. I wish I loved it just what they did with the other characters. It also almost makes me wish they would make playable cards for all these, so that all the heroes could have boss versions, and vice versa. You just have like a regular deck with some of these other characters, because it seemed really interesting. How you could maybe play a twist on every single character's gimmick. You know, like Negagonus would be still have instruments, but maybe they might do something a little bit better. Maybe he gains more from breaking them versus not breaking them, where he smashes instruments a lot more. Yeah, or just a little variations on how their decks work. Keep them similar but twisted, kind of like the way Pooky and Evil Pooky are. Alright, now we're going to look at his boss deck. So we have, now you're scheming with portals. You may play this card when another player would make you lose fortitude. The damage is redirected to a player of your choice. This could be the player hitting you. Phenomenal Cosmic Power. Gain 2 fortitude, draw a card from your character deck. It's got another copy of This Little Rodent is Tougher Than He Looks. 2 copies of Rascally Rabbit. Pick another player, they lose 3 fortitude. We don't think so. And then he gets the villain card. The first rule of villainy, find the evil in everyone. Each other player discards a sometimes card from their hand unless they reveal a hand with no cards. No sometimes cards. Each other player loses 1 fortitude. This card can't be negated or ignored. And then we have the Evil Doppelganger deck. So we'll kind of fly through these. Lots of these are very similar. So you have a sometimes that lets you lose fortitude. Or after you lose fortitude, you can force another player to lose 3. Or the opponent can ignore a drink and lose fortitude. Murgrath. Discard Doppelganger in front of you. If you have one, no player may play cards until after you do this. Jordan has start a round of gambling. Players ante 2 gold instead of 1. You can't be forced to leave the round of gambling. Or the next time a round of gambling begins, you must ante an additional gold. You may not voluntarily leave the round. If this is a team game, you are your team's champion, even if the round was started by one of your teammates. Negagonus. Ignore an action, sometimes or anytime card that affects your fortitude, or when you get this card, lose 2 fortitude. White Hawk. Each player loses 1 fortitude. You also lose 1 fortitude. Fiona the Unstable. Add 1 fortitude loss to an action or sometimes card you have played, or the next time you would cause another player to lose fortitude, that fortitude loss is reduced by 2. I like how some of these were like single in the first one, and now they're double in this one. Beardry. Action, pick another player. They lose 2 fortitude, you gain 2 fortitude, or your hand size is decreased by 3. Discard this at the beginning of the next action phase. Constable Jerky. Pick another player. They lose 2 fortitude and pay you 1 gold. Gain 1 gold from the end. Next time you or a teammate gains gold, you also lose 1 fortitude. Zot. Pick another player. They lose 2 fortitude, or when you get this card, the top 2 cards of the Drink Me deck in your Drink Me pile. Evil. You may play this card after a player reveals a drink. Instead of the usual effect, it has lose 3 fortitude. Any non-drink cards that change the effect still happen. The next time you would cause another player to lose fortitude, that fortitude loss is reduced to 1. God the Enforcer. Ignore a drink. Each other player pays you a gold. When you get this card, lose 1 fortitude and drink the top card from the Drink Me deck. Wizdilly. Pick another player, look at their hand. Or when you get this card, discard 2 cards from your hand. Frenic. Add 2 alcohol content to a drink. Or when you get this card, lose 1 fortitude, can't be reduced, ignored, or negated. Darika. Until the start of your next turn, you play with your hand revealed. And finally, Torgal Snarf. Discard a cheating card from your hand or reveal your hand with no cheating cards. Each other player does the same. Alright, so that's definitely fun. Alright. Then the next thing we have is our drink deck. So we're going to get a drink deck for Evil Pooky. What's also really fun about this is this had some previously contained promo cards. So this is a good way to get some cards that you didn't have or didn't have access to before. Plus there's a lot of different stuff. And if you also notice on the list, if you can kind of read it, there's not a lot of the standard ones you have, like light ale, dark ale, ogre's grog. This, just to bring up, also brings up there's a variant rule for your deck, for your drinking decks. So each deck game has to have 30 cards. If you buy multiple sets, you can either, every time a deck runs out, you have to pay 1 gold to the end, which is why it needs to stay at 30. So if you have multiple games, so if you have 4 games, you have 4 drink decks, you can always play drink deck 1, it runs out, pay the gold, then grab deck number 2, and do it so far, 3 and 4. Alternatively, you could shuffle them all together, draw out a 30 card worth of deck, that's your first deck. Then when it runs out, pay the gold, draw 30 new cards. So that's just an alternate way to play if you want to get stuff. The third thing you can do is create your own drink decks, and that's so you can pick and choose what you want. So maybe you don't want a lot of the light ales, or you don't want to have a ton of light ales, so maybe you're going to take out 3 of the 4 that you have, so you only have 1. And you'll just have less decks, but then you can also mix and match. You could get rid of maybe some of the chaser cards if you think they're too hard. Maybe get rid of some of the smaller alcohol content. Maybe get rid of some of the bigger ones. Yeah, you can make your own decks, which are kind of fun. I would always recommend, though, putting in somewhere between 3 and 5 event cards. So you might need to take those out, draw, make your deck up to that. Otherwise, if you're just shuffling everything together, you might end up with, a deck with no event cards, or you might end up with all your event cards in the same deck. That's just my thoughts on that. So we have Grim Dark Ale. You may discard any number of cards from your hand. X is the number of cards in your hand when you drink this drink. This drink cannot be affected by any card that splits a drink. The Extra Lucky Rabbit Split with an Ale Chaser. Draw 1 card from your character deck, order a drink. When you need all the luck you can get. The Eldrick Port Ale. Put this card in front of you. While it's there, you can't play cards, and you ignore all effects. Discard this at the beginning of your next turn. It's out of this world, and now so are you. The Marathon. Put this card in front of you. While it's there, you may play an anytime card with the effect gain 2 alcohol content. Each other player pays you 1 gold. Or you may play it as an anytime card. You impress the others. The Rift Rumdinger. These extra planar horrors really know how to mix a drink. We have a Greater Mimic. If Greater Mimic is a result of a chaser, discard all other cards in this drink without taking their effects. That is definitely not a tag. The Etting Brawl. Ettings are the 2-headed creatures showing on the thing, usually giants. When you gain alcohol content from this drink, you may put an action card from your hand face up in front of you. That card no longer counts as a part of your hand. During your action phase, you may play that card in addition to your normal action for the turn. The Hellspawn Stout. Choose 1, discard Hellspawn Stout, and drink the top card of the drink deck. Or, if you lose Fortitude this way, you may search your character deck for a card, reveal that card, and put it in your hand. Devilishly delicious. The Future Brew. Discard any number of cards from your hand, then refill your hand size. Everyone drinks this in the future. Chronos. Ooh, fun reference there. Wizzlegilt's Feminade. If you drink this drink during your own drink phase, then after the phase, take another order a drink and another drink phase. Fuel for the Aspiring Tinkerer. The Artisanal Spring Water. Pay 1 gold to the end, individually bottled at your expense. Fortified Wine with a Chaser. It makes healing fun. Ale is from the Crypt, or possibly from another dimension. We have a Pixie Punch. When you need a little private pixie time, it's gotta be Pixie Punch. we have some rice wine. These are some of the ones that have been in other decks. If rice wine was not to resolve a drink event or a chaser, you may split it with another player. Rice wine cannot be affected by any other card that splits a drink. We have the pot of tea, suitable for the drunkards and teetotalers alike. Rough remedy. If you gain alcohol content from this card, you may discard up to 5 cards in your hand. Gain 1 fortitude for each card you discard this way. You need more than just a spoonful of sugar. We have Dragon's Breath Ale with some alternate artwork here. Brewed under the direct supervision of real fire-breathing dragons. Wine with a chaser. Classy. Elven wine with a chaser. The elves drink it, so it must be good. Some pretentious wine. Move up to 3 cards from the top of your drink me pile to any other player's drink me piles. Distribute them as you like. Do not look at them. After this stuff, you won't want to drink anything else. Alchemist Artisanal Ale. Awarded Best in Show at the Greyport Brewing Festival. Chainmail Ale with a Chaser. This card's chaser always comes from the drink deck, no matter where the card comes from. Better for cleaning armor than for drinking. The Orcish Rotgut. If you're an orc instead, you get +2 alcohol. Orcs love this stuff. Some Angel Tears. A salty salve of celestial sadness. The Chieftain's Ice Beer, an old favorite, now available year-round. Then we got some event cards. So we're going to have our drinking contest, which you've seen before. Each player takes a drink from the drink pile and drinks deck and drinks it. The player is sealed the drink with the highest alcohol content, even if they avoided the effects of win 1 goal from each other player. If there's a tie, the players who tie reveal the drink and drink again. Drink events are counted as zeros. Round down the house. Reveal a drink with possible chasers from the drink deck. If you reveal a drink event before revealing, discard and reveal again. Each player, including you, drinks a copy of revealed drink. The Wench's Deal. Start a round of gambling. No player currently in control. Round starts with you. The round ends with no winner. The pot goes to the inn. The game is Rogues and Warriors. This is actually a fun one I'd probably always include. And then Gaze into the Abyss. Each player, including you, gains 1 alcohol content and discards 1 card from their hand. It's full of stars. Alright, so those are our alcohol drink cards. The last thing we have for this set are prize variants. So how prize variants work is you can get them in this, various other sets, as well as promo cards. Is when you start a round of gambling, you pick 1 from the prize pool, and they go into your pot. When someone wins the pot, they get the prize card. Then after they've used it, it goes into a discard pile called the prize bin. There are no more prizes left at the inn to put into the gambling pile. Then you reshuffle the prize bin, put all those cards back in so people can reuse them. To determine what card you have to put in the pot, you can either have these face down and just randomly play one, or you can have the player who starts the round of gambling get to pick one to say, hey, I think I can win this round. Let me pick this as a prize I'm gambling. So it's kind of a fun extra thing to do. So this set, we're going to get 2 of them. We're going to get Portal Gun. When you win this prize, pick another player. Swap your gold stash with that player, then add this card to the prize bin. Players may ignore this card as a result, where a sometimes card affecting their gold. So that's kind of fun. But again, this, you may or may not want to win this depending on how much gold you have. Then we have Pooky Snack. When you win this prize, add it to the prize bin. If you're a Pooky or Evil Pooky, gain 1 fortitude. Otherwise, draw a card from your character deck. So it's kind of a fun little extra thing to have there. Alright, so that was Evil Pooky. Yes, if you like that, you get brand new character, new drink deck, which is really fun, some prize cards, as well as a new boss to play against. And then if you had already purchased Pooky, or if you buy it with this, you also get to play him as a boss too, so it adds extra effects there. So definitely, either one of these are worth picking up. See you guys in the next videos. Bye.